The auditorium buzzed like a beehive. Cameras flashed, microphones gleamed, and tension hung thick in the air. California's Governor Gavin Newsom stepped onto the stage, confidence radiating from every polished word and tailored movement. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, pausing for effect, "America is ready for a new leadership in mine." The audience erupted in applause, but in the back row, Senator John Kennedy leaned back in his chair, his sharp blue eyes narrowing. He knew this wasn't just another political event. Tonight, truth was about to meet arrogance head-on. For weeks, Newsom had been boasting about his inevitable path to the presidency in 2028. He called it the next logical step. His charm and eloquence had swayed millions, but behind that charm, Kennedy saw something else: vanity disguised as vision. The debate that night wasn't supposed to happen, but after a heated exchange on social media where Newsom mocked Kennedy's old-fashioned values, the senator accepted the challenge. "Let's give America a real conversation," Kennedy had replied. As the debate began, Newsom's tone was silky smooth. He spoke about progress, innovation, and the California miracle. He painted golden pictures of his state, its success, its diversity, its moral leadership. The crowd nodded along, many dazzled by his words. But Kennedy waited patiently, letting Newsom hang his own hubris in front of the nation. When it was finally his turn, Kennedy adjusted his glasses, leaned forward, and spoke in that steady Louisiana drawl that somehow cut sharper than any shouting could. "Governor Newsom," he began, "you sure can talk pretty, but let me ask you, when you boast about becoming president in 2028, are you talking about serving the American people or serving yourself?" The crowd shifted. Newsom's smile faltered just slightly. Kennedy continued, "You say you want to lead the nation. That's fine, but leadership ain't about power, so it's about people. And from where I stand, California's got folks living in tents on the sidewalks, can't afford gas, and schools that can't teach kids how to read. Maybe you ought to fix your own house before you start bragging about moving into the White House." A wave of murmurs rolled through the hall. Even the moderators froze for a moment. Newsom tried to recover, chuckling nervously. "Senator, with all due respect, California represents the future. We're tackling climate change, fighting inequality." Kennedy interrupted softly, "And yet, your people are fleeing that future faster than you can give a press conference. You talk about green energy, but your cities go dark every summer. You talk about equality, but your taxes crush the middle class while billionaires buy beachfront homes. You talk about progress, but what good is progress if it leaves good folks behind?" The room went silent. Even Newsom's supporters looked uneasy. Cameras zoomed in on his face as the governor's confident grin melted into frustration. Kennedy wasn't done. He leaned forward again, his voice low but thunderous in its conviction. "You see, Governor, leadership is not about the headline it's about heartlines. It's not about how loud you speak, but how well you listen. And you can't lead America by tacking down to her. You gotta love her. Every flawed, hard-working, God-fearing part of her." Applause exploded. It wasn't the polite clapping that often fills political halls up. It was raw, emotional, and real. For a moment, even Newsom seemed lost for words. He tried to pivot, attacking Kennedy's age and outdated views, calling him a relic of a bygone era. Kennedy just smiled. "Maybe so," he said, "but that bygone era built families, not just careers. It built neighborhoods, not just networks. And I'll take old-fashioned integrity over new-age arrogance any day." The moderator attempted to restore balance, but it was clear the debate had shifted. The crowd's mood had transformed from curiosity to reverence. Kennedy wasn't just debating, he was delivering a sermon of honesty, humility, and grounded patriotism. After the event, social media exploded. Clips of Kennedy's words went viral. One line echoed across the internet like a battle cry: "Leadership is not about headlines, it's about heartlines." Even people who disagreed with him couldn't deny the emotional weight behind his words. Newsom's boasting speech faded into the background, overshadowed by Kennedy's authenticity. Days later, a journalist caught up with Kennedy as he exited the Capitol. "Senator, did you mean to humiliate Governor Newsom like that?" she asked. Kennedy stopped, looked her straight in the eye, and said, "Ma'am, I didn't set out to humiliate anybody. I just told the truth. If the truth humiliates you, that's on you." His words became another viral sensation. Across the country, people began to talk not about political sides, but about values, about leadership that listens more than it lectures, about the kind of integrity America seemed to be missing in its noise-filled politics. And in that moment, John Kennedy's message outshone every boast and every headline. He reminded the nation that no matter how modern the world becomes, humility, truth, and love for one's people will always outlast arrogance and ambition. When the lights faded and the crowds went home, even Newsom reportedly sat alone in his dressing room, watching the replay of the debate. His reflection stared back at him, and not as a future president, but as a man who'd been given a mirror by an unlikely teacher. And somewhere in Louisiana, John Kennedy returned to his quiet routine, shaking hands with locals, listening to their worries, and proving once again that true leadership isn't about becoming someone powerful, it's about being someone real. Moral. Arrogance may shine for a moment, but truth and humility will always light the way longer.